So we'll continue here in Ois Gimel. Gimel, the Hine Chai Chulies Hanal, the 18 vertebrates that we talked about before. The davening has the 18 brachas. So these are Heim, Kelim, Pnimiyim. They are the inner vessels. Umehem mispashit achar kacha oir b'chitzonis hakelim. And then later on, from the inner vessels, just like by the body, you have the inner parts of the body, and then you have the external limbs. So the vertebrates, the evorim, the inside, those are the inside. And then later on, from the inside, then it goes to the external kelim. Umispar kelim. So that's only 18. We have enough. We have the amount of all mispar kulam. What is the total amount of all the kelim? Is ramach. That's 248. Sheheim ramach mitzvahs asay. Those are the 248 positive mitzvahs. Shenikru im ramach evorim de malka. They're called the 248 limbs of the king. Those are the various different kelim for the hamshachas. This is the pnimi, the chatzonis hakelim, the mitzvahs. Sheheim b'chinas evorim v'kelim hamshachas oir. They are in a level of limbs and vessels to bring down the light. Ayim hashekosu me'inyan amach evorim v'kelim b'biur al pi parshas Moshe Yidaber b'parshas Yisrael. All right. V'zo inyan aniska le'il, and this is what we said before, shehamitzvahs tzriches kavona, v'atfila hi b'chinas hakavona b'chlal. We say that mitzvahs need kavona. So the actions, what is the kavona? Those are the chitzonis hakelim. Those are the actions, but they need the kavona. The kavona is the inner kelim. The inner kelim are the 18 chulios, and then the davening ibchinas hakavona b'chlal. So you have the general kavona. That's davening. Davening to the Eibishter, you have in kavona. Each mitzvah has its own kavona. Baruch Atah Hashem, you have the kavona of the particular mitzvah. So when we say mitzvahs need kavona, we're also talking about the general kavona. We're talking about the pnimius, the 18 brachas, the 18 vertebrates, and then later on, you have the specific evorim throughout the level of Maisa. We say Asher Kiddishonu b'mitzvah. Through doing a mitzvah, we become holy. What does it mean? Become holy. They have mitzvahs. That when we do mitzvahs, Mamshichim Gilui B'chinas Kedusha El Yoino De'eris of Lamata. When you do mitzvahs, you draw down the revelation of a supreme Kedusha Lamata. That is means Kiddushanu. You bring down Kedusha through the mitzvahs. L'chein tzrichim kavona. So that's why they need kavona. Why? Ki ha-mitzvah Hi ha'ever, the mitzvah is the actual limb. V'hakavone hu ha'amshachas ha'oir b'techakli. That is bringing down the light into the kelim. So you need the kavona. U'kamishikosu b'sefer shel beinanim perik lamed ches b'hagoa b'shem ha'itzchayim. So b'zehu, and this is a b'derech klal hatfilo hi hakavona. why we're saying that davening is the general, is the kavona. Again, we're saying in the general means besides every mitzvah having its kavona, we're saying just the davening. That's the general kavona for all the mitzvahs. Because the davening brings down the light in general. These are the blessing of the davening, Baruch Ato Hashem, which means Shemamshichim Liya is Baruch V'Nimshach Ato, Baruch Ato Hashem, to bring down Oirins of Mamesh. Shem Havaya, through the Shem Havaya, through the Ishtausnos. So that's why we have the davening. By fulfilling the mitzvahs throughout the day. So then, mamshichim ha'oir befrat. Then we bring down the specific light. Now we're going already befrat. Before it was bechlal. That's the general. Specifically, the islabish b'mitzvah protis, to dress up in a specific mitzvah. Shei ever echad menamachevar of the malka, which is one limb of the 48 limbs of the king. This is actually the above mentioned parable Chut HaShedra. Shaboy nimshach hachayis min hamoichin. In Chut HaShedra comes the vitality from the moichin. Chut HaShedra, we learned before, connects the moichin, goes all the way up to the moich hadas specifically, and it comes down all the ways throughout the body, through the vertebrae, through the spine. Asher b'moichin hi iker mishkan v'ashros haneshama. In the moichin is the main resting and the place where the neshama dwells and rests. And from the moichin, which is the main rest of the neshama, the energy comes down into the Chut HaShedra, hanimshach memoyach hadas, which extends from the moyach hadas. And then from there it goes to all 248 limbs, as I said before, through the structure, through the tzlois, to the ribs, etc., to the whole body. So that's second. So the first step is to bring down from the moichin through the Chut HaShedra. That's the davening. That's the general. That's the kavanah klolos. Later on, we have all the 248 limbs continue. That's the inyan brichas ha-mitzvahs. That's already the bracha of the mitzvah. Shehi b'chinas ha-kavanah b'frat l'chol mitzvah. Every mitzvah has its own kavanah. We say Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvahs v'tzivanu chulu, which means sheyi nimshach hamshocha zu ba'oisei ever v'keli meramach evorim demalko. So that there should be this hamshocha in that particular limb, and keli from the 248 limbs of the king. Shua mitzvahi, which is that mitzvah? So basically, the main thing seems to be the davening, right? And the mitzvahs is later on the expansion of the kavanah klolis into the specific limbs. A klolus, a kavanah, the general intention and bring down the earth of tefillah. That is the davening. The davening is the general way to bring down light. That becomes sort of the soul and the energy to doing mitzvahs. The good davening, when you daven properly, that becomes the soul and the energy of the act of the mitzvahs. So how does the birth, that a person gives birth, that it's exactly like the person? Shiyam Shacham Husa Nefesh, which means how do you get the essence of the soul duplicated, reproduced through the das? That's through the Moichad Amshach Musa Nefesh Musa Hamale Beshel Moichin. How does that come? That comes through the Chuta Shedra, through the spinal cord, because the tipper that comes through the Chuta Shedra, through the spinal cord, because it has to come from the Moichad Das down into the Ivorim. So that is the essence of the soul comes down over there. That's the neshama. V'zeu ubedas chadorim yimalu. That you shall fill the rooms with das. Das is the moyach hadas, and you fill the room. The room means the kelim. The kelim are the midos. You fill them with the level of das. The word cheder. Chadorim heil makelim. Chadorim, the rooms. What the rooms that you fill, those are the vessels, the vehicles in which you dress up. Das comes down, the energy, the Oid HaMshocha comes there, which is the Chadorim. Sheklalusum Gimel B'chinas. Generally, is 3 levels. We have Chesed, Din Rachamim, Chesed Gevurah Tiferes, or Chesed Din Rachamim, which spells out Cheder, Ches Daled Reish. Rosh Tevis, which is the word of Cheder, that's spelled Cheder. So that means that the Chadorim, the Cheder, gets filled, the Chesed Gevurah with the Das. B'zo Inyan Gimel Kavim. These are the 3 lines. Shem Klolus Maisa Mitzvahs. Mitzvahs in general are divided into these 3 categories, as we say. So these 3 matters, emes, din, mishpat, those are the 3 categories. So those are the kelim. Achein, b'chinas, kelim v'chadorim. But they are vessels, they're rooms. Okay, they liyos chadorim yimaleu, they should be filled. The hainu hamshochas ha'oir b'hakelim. If you want to fill it up, how are you going to fill up the chadorim yimaleu? That's through das. Basically means shua tefillah. This is the tefillah. The das is the tefillah, the davening, the moyach hadas, which is the davening, the meditation, the reflection, that fills the rooms, the chadorim, the chesed gevurah din, the chesed rachim, and the ma'isa mitzvahs, which is also divided, is the davening. So what inspires the ma'isa mitzvahs is the davening. V'lochein ascholos yud beis brachas and tzoyis the tefillah. So the 12 middle brachas. Okay, the first 6, the first and the end of 3, those are introductions, and those are saying goodbye to the king. But the 12 are the main structure of the brachas. How does it start? Uchen and adas. You start with the bracha of uchen and adas. Why? Because it's all about das, bringing down. So it says, that's why the davening is not part of the numbers of the Torah, because the number that we count, we counting the limbs, the kelim, the ivorim, the 248, those are already the limbs, those are the receptacles. Can't count it by itself, because that's the soul of the wrestling. Over there it also explains that das is not counted all the time in the 10 spheres. Sometimes we count keser, chochma, bina, and we don't leave out da, we leave out das. Why is it not? So it explains over there, ki ein onomenim ela mashiyesh boy kli. We only count those that have a vessel. Aval das is bechinas neshama b'li kli. That's considered a soul without a vessel. Ein shom. V'ay mashikosu b'pirush loshin kavona Al posik tzavarecha becharuzim. Okay. Ach hine mailas Talmud Torah shekeneged kulam. But what is the mile of Torah which is equal to everything? So, hainu shu b'chinas pnimis hakelim. Torah is the inner of the kelim. V'amitzvah same chitzonis hakelim. That's the external of the kelim. Tzedakah gemilus chasodim, chesed roi yemina. Those are the external kelim. In the kelim, Torah is the pnimiyas hakelim. So, all this tells us, the way he explains it over here, that actually even Torah and the mitzvahs, they are the kelim. Pnimis hakelim, chitzonis hakelim, but they're still kelim. What is the soul? What is the chayis? The chayis is the davening, because that's the neshama, that's the soul, that brings down the oil. But this doesn't seem to fit, the Rebbe is going to explain now in the parenthesis, with what we learn elsewhere, that Torah is higher than Tefillah. Ba'ayim ha'shekosov oid me'inyan Tefillah v'Torah, ha'posik yisavoy el ha'oretz, v'shavso ha'oretz. Over there it says, the Pirush Mamer Azal, Ashrei Misha Bolekan, the Talmud Mudei B'Yodeh. So look over there. Now, b'mokem hachan is bayer. Elsewhere it's explained. Eich sha'atorah hi l'maylam na'atfilah. Torah is hard. Sha'atfilah hu amshochas hadas. Notwithstanding that tefillah is amshochas hadas, is kiyesh ponim ve'ochel, because there is the in and the outside. So Torah is considered the pnimis, and the tefillah is the chitzonis, notwithstanding that it's a das, but it's still the chitzonis. Ponim ubchinas esek haTorah. The pnimis, that is the occupation of Torah. Why? Torah comes from the level of chokhmah. The chokhmah's odom Torah, part of the pasuk says the wisdom of the person shines his face. Means that chokhmah is the pnimis. Ba'ayin mashekosu ba'posik tzeno re'ena be'inyan lahatzil ponim mishama. So Torah is pnimis. Before you get to the pnimis, you need the davening. But it says that the davening is considered the back, the hind, not the front. And Torah, meaning is the front, that means that Torah is in a higher level. You still have to have the level of ocher, the back, before you can get to the ponim. You need the ocher, which is you need the tefillah, but then Torah essentially is higher. Over there it says in the pasuk b'chinas lechtech acharai. Acharai means also going behind. At first you start with the back. So ponim is esek haTorah. Ba'ocher hainu b'chinas tefillah. That's davening is because of the back. Kichai birchoim ditzloiso. The 18 brachas of the davening. Shehem keneged chaychul yishem which correspond to the 18 vertebrates in the spine. Shabahem nimshachut hashedra, in which the shedra comes. It's all in the back. Where is the spinal cord? And where is the vertebrates? Where is the whole structure? It's not in the front by the face. It's all in the back. It's in the back of the person. So Torah is the front, is the ponim. The tefillah, which is the back. Mamer Azal, talk about treifus over there. It says that two pulim menachem al gabe akadeda, laying on a pot behind a mokir chibur hatzaber v'agulgolos ba'erev. That's where the connection of the neck and the skull, where they connect in the back of the person. B'shom nimshach achut hashedra memel chadas. The Moich Hadas, the Shedra comes over there. Is going to say the three intellects within the brain, the Moyach, the Chochma, Bina, it's like a segel. So the Moyach, Chochma is to the right, Bina is to the left, and Das is in the middle, but it's the middle and the back between them, and that's where it connects to the Chut HaShidra. So this is all Ocher. Kitlas Moich Chabad, Sebetlas Chalol de Galgalto, for the three Moichin of Chabad, which are the three hollow places in the skull. So you have Beis, Moichin, Chochma, Bina, Hemel Fnim. The two intellects of Chochma, Bina, there in the front, forward. Moich Hadas, Bachurayim, and the Moich of the Das is in the back. Be'emtza Beis, HaMoich, Chochma, Bina. That's in between the two Moich Chochma, Bina. Umebchinas Hadas, and the level Nimshach B'chinas Hava Yir Shebitfila. How does one get the Hava Yira? That's the level of Das, the Hisbonenus. So that's all the back. It all comes from level of Ashvil. V'hafta the davening, you say you have to Shem Alikecha, the Shema, is Loshen Ava Shuhurat. Hafta is a language of wanting, a desire. Where does he get that want to Hashem that comes from the level of Das, which is the supreme will? Because essentially, Das and wanting is really one and the same. When you say, I know you, the Eibishter says, I know the Jewish people. What does it mean he knows them? He loves them. He wants them. So Das v'rotzen hakol. Das and rotzen is really one and the same. What do you mean? I only know you. I only want you. Only he wants us. He chose and wants us. Das Das is the language of connecting, tying down and connecting. That's why you have the level of Ahavto, which is Loshen Rotzen. That comes from the Das, Benu Tefillah. That's how you get the Av in your heart. Comes through the level of Das. So, Acharotzen, but yet we call this the back. Why do we call this the back? It's still called the back, relative to the light of above. Rotzen and Tainuk, the two. Rotzen is the external, the back, and the Pnim is the light. V'amailis harotzen nemar kamkshi oirevato. Over there we say you're a stiff-necked people, which means you want Hashem. Don't budge. So in your the kosher, it's hard labor. This davening, the service of the davening of the heart, which is the davening, to scream out to Hashem, it has to be hard. It's a hard work to daven this right. To withstand anything that is prevented from the inside the outside. We say, because we're saying, that's why you should forgive us. It would seem a little bit strange. We're asking Hashem to forgive us because we are stiff-necked, but the stiff-necked means the stubbornness not to become impacted by anything that stops us from the inside, the outside. We're continuing to daven and to connect to the Eibishter, which is Amshochas Gimel Tzarachamim, Sh'achar Shemoneh Esrei. The V'solachto, and then Hashem, because we're Kshei Oiref, Hashem brings down the 13 attributes of mercy that follow the Shemoneh Esrei. So this is all the level of the Rotzen, the davening, the tefillah, all the level of the back. Over there we have the face, the front, the revelation of the supreme delight. The Torah is considered to be a play that Hashem delights with it. Another pasuk, the delight with the people, also referring to the Torah as the level of tainug. When can you get that level of tainug from the front? First you daven, and then you have the level of rotzen, and then you have the tainug. Over there it says, when do you delight? After you fulfill what you want. You achieve what you want. When his wishes were fulfilled. If you never had a rotzen, you're not going to enjoy it. You never wanted it. In order to delight in it, you have to first have the rotzen. So a person has a rotzen in the davening to Hashem, the Torah fulfills his rotzen. Kol zen is bar b'mokem acher. So all this has been explained elsewhere. We have to, we need, how do we explain this? But over here we said that the tefillah is the chayes. The Torah mitzvahs are the kelim. How do we connect the two? It's going to say two things. There's two levels in Torah, and there's also two levels in the davening. And the two levels in Torah is one of the 613 mitzvahs. So that's a mitzvah too, like any other mitzvahs. In that level of Torah, then the davening is the highest for Torah. Davening is in a higher level than the Torah. But in the level of Torah in which it is, a person expounds in Torah, and the Torah is umnosei, he's fully in Torah, that's another higher level of Torah. Over there, the Torah is higher than the tefillah. Yesh Leimar, you can answer, ki yesh Torah, b'yesh Torah. There's two Torahs. There's Hainu. K'sho'oisek rab, and k'sho'oisek rak, pam perik echad shachris, or perik echad arvis, balochas psukis. When a person just occupies himself, learns one chapter in the morning and one in the evening, in the laws that have been ruled, the kayim mitzvahs, just to fulfill the mitzvah that you should study Torah by Yom Elaylos, you do. Then that learning of Torah is a mitzvah like all other mitzvahs. As we said before, it is the inner limbs that the chayis, it's limbs, but it's an inner limb, but it's still limbs. And for that reason, that's why when the Eibishter, even the Eibishter forgave all of the other Averis that the Yidden did, it says he did not forgive them for Bittul Torah. Why? Because Bittul Torah is a Varim Apnimi. And still, the davening, which is bringing down the das, that is referred to oir relative to the inner Evorim. But when a person, on the other hand, this is the other level of Torah, he studies all day in order to reach the level of knowing Torah by looking deeply into the Talmud. Then his Torah is a level of Chochma, then it's taka higher than Evorim. Even though it's das, Nikra Ocher legabe Chochma lo mamash. When we talk about Chochma lo mamash, when the person learning at that high level, v'chein kosu b'ilchus Talmud Torah. It says in Talmud Torah, she'idiyah hi mitzvah b'fnei atzma. Knowing Torah, that's the higher level of Torah. That's a mitzvah by itself. V'adibur ba mitzvah v'nei, and the speaking of Torah, that's Hogisa boy. That's a separate mitzvah. So a Gisaba is one mitzvah. That level of the mitzvah is taka like all other, but it's a vorim, and tefillah is higher. But when we talk about the level of iyun haTorah, that's special. That's the level of chokhmah, so the level of time. Also, it's written elsewhere. Salsala b'Torah memecha. Salsala means you will go Torah, keep on turning and turning, going deeply into Torah. Iyun haTorah, it'll raise you. Shatorah nikras levush. Torah is called garments. Oita oir kasamo. He spreads out the light, as the pasuk says, like a garment. Or levushay kit like chiver. His garment is like white snow. So, but when you study deeply the Talmud, which is Pirush Salsala, the deep thinking, then that raises the person to the source of Torah. That is the level in which his hair, as the pasuk says in Daniel over there, that the hair of his head is like clear wool, which is l'maylo memchinas levush, which is in a higher level of levush. That touches the essence of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu mamish. So salsala tremimeka raises you higher, raises you to the level of the saration. So now we're saying that this level of Torah is on a higher level of Torah. But yet, you need first the tefillah to get to this higher level. Yet the davening, even though it's called the back rail to this level, you cannot bring down the ponim you have to have the rotzen b'tefillah. Like by a person, although the tipper comes stuck with the level of chokhmah, from the higher level, you cannot draw it down from chokhmah. You need das. So you need the davening in order to get the level of tainuk. Just like you need the level of das to get down the tipper from the level of chokhmah, which is v'hodam yoda b'chinas iskashrus. That level of iskashrus, you need that in order to get that higher level. Kachat tefillah, b'tkiyas hadas, when you stick your mind the das, is bonus glus Hashem by reflecting on the greatness of Hashem, by iskashrus b'chinas bittul, and you tie yourself down away of subjugation. When you learn later Torah, then you bring down from the level of Chokhmah, which means Yaseh Sholem means to bring down the Chokhmah Knesset Yisrael through the Hakdama of the davening. So that's one answer, because we have the two levels of Torah. Stam Torah as a mitzvah, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And then Iyun HaTorah, which is a whole different level. Still need the tefillah in order to get to that level of Torah. But there's another, in addition to that, yesh tefillah, yesh tefillah, the two types of davening. Hainu, yesh b'chinas ava shemugbeles b'kli. Davening itself, there is an ava which is limited in the keli. Those are the level of the emotion that come from das, the chesed, the gevura, the cheder, the molu chadorim we learned before. That's the regular dam. Amram b'chinas b'chol moedecha, the level of moedecha, or uso de liba, and the warning of the heart. B'chinas midas shelamayla masechel. That is midas higher than sechel. Hanam shochim aydei das elyon chulu. They come from the level of the supreme das, not from the level of das of Atzilus. Because of Mokamachar, Parshas told the Biura Posik Maim Rabbi. Then you are bring from the level of Keser, which is even higher than Torah. That's Chochmah Atzilus. Here we're coming to Kesef. Mashkosim Mokamacha Biur Aposik Shishim Hema Malachas Achasi Yonosi Chulu Gabe Inyan Chasidim Orishonim Shoyu Shoyim Bitfilosam Tashois Biyoim Chulu Ein Shon.